KCAA.com.
You're listening to the Inland Talk Express, 1050 AM and 106.5 FM, KCAA Loma Linda.
To the Real Men of Real Estate here on KCAA Radio. You can find us on your dial at 1050 AM or 106.5 FM. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of being here with Brock Vandenberg, the president of Talamar Financial, to talk about hard money lending and how that can work with you in your real estate investing journey, and a little bit about this market and where we see things going. So, Brock, welcome.
Well, Dan, I appreciate you inviting me on today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's really great to have you here. So I think it's really important for people to understand kind of how you got here. You know, this isn't something that just fell in your lap, right? You had to build your business and figure out how to do it, and maybe during some hard times, as I understand it. So what's the story?
Dan, it's interesting. We talked a little about this at the last San Diego Creative Investor Association meeting. And, I fell into the business, and when I talk to business owners, so often I hear a story, or so often I hear people just kind of fell into the business that they run. And the way I fell into it was I was involved with a real estate investment company going into about 2008. We were specializing in financing big residential development tracts at the time. Okay. And I had been with them. I was an analyst. I was growing up the ranks. I had a lot of aspirations going into with the company. And then the housing market collapsed on me. And unfortunately, they disbanded the group. They closed it down. And
the entire group.
Oh yeah, the whole company. It was a bank that had owned our subsidiary. And they decided that it wasn't an investment that they wanted to be involved with anymore. HR rep came in and said, Brock, unfortunately, this is your last day. And we appreciate all the hard work you've given us for the last 6 years. And here you go, month of severance.
Holy smokes, man. I mean, that probably came as a total shock, huh?
Oh, absolutely. And, I had worked so many late nights on developing my career at the company. And unfortunately, it just wasn't, in the future. But you know what? I look back on it. It was such a great opportunity to work there. I had met my mentor there. I had got an opportunity to see a lot of real estate transactions. And so I would not be where I am today without that opportunity. So,
right. No, that sounds pretty amazing.
But it's interesting. So that evening I went home and I told my wife, and we just had a baby at the time. And she said, well, you need to get back. You need to get back out onto the street and see where the next opportunity was. And lo and behold, I found SDCIA, went to one of the networking events that night. And the stars must have been aligned, because I actually met up with a real estate investor at the time, and they had just started. This is right when you started to be able to buy houses at the foreclosure steps.
Okay, right. So just at the beginning. Just at the beginning.
Okay. There. And so I just had saved money up over the years, and I lent him, I think at that time it was like $100,000 to purchase a property, and he went out, purchased a property with my financing, and lo and behold, there was a business behind it. Did one loan with him. Wow. One turned into two turned into four. And before I knew it, I was running out of capital, lending money out. And I went out to outside investors who invested alongside with me on my loans. And that was the beginning of what today is Talamar Financial.
Okay, so you started to build a fund.
I did. So at that time, we were just investing in, for your listeners, what was called trust deeds. And trust deeds were simply, imagine you are the bank, you are the lender, and you're lending money to a borrower, and you're using their real estate as collateral, just as a bank would. Mm-hmm. But these are private lenders that would be doing this. And so I would facilitate that process. I would go out and originate the loan, and then find the investor, and then I would essentially manage that relationship over the course of the loan.
Right. check out the borrower, make sure that it was a good deal, and
Yep.
all that sort of stuff, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
secure your investors'
And
money.
it's funny back then, Dan, I would be racing around all of San Diego, maybe 3 or 4 site visits every day when calls were coming in. And it was a different time. That was really when you could buy houses at the foreclosure steps, and banks were just unloading homes. I mean, our borrowers couldn't buy them quick enough.
Wow. That's an amazing time to start.
It was a fun time. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you really get to know some of the folks who ended up investing with you? How did you build that portfolio of
So Dan, good question. Most of it was through networking.
Okay.
Back then, you would go to a lot of the networking events, SDCIA, and some of the other local networking events in San Diego. And I would just build a book of business, and then the name got out to local real estate, agents, mortgage brokers, and many of those that I were introduced at that time are still calling me today with their loan requests. In fact,
that's incredible. Wow.
I have a borrower, probably one of my borrowers that's been with me the longest, probably done maybe 25 or 30 loans for them over the last 15 years.
Wow, that's really something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a long-term business. You're working with the same people for as long as you can, really.
You are. It's a very and real estate it's a very relationship-based business. Number one is built on trust. You and I have been in this business for a long time, and we've seen people come and go.
Yeah.
But those that have stuck around have been able to, number one, they're people trust them. They trust for what they offer, and I feel like we've done a good job of doing that.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. I mean, you're here on the show because I believe in your business. I've worked with you before. It's, the trust thing is for real. So,
yeah.
So when you're working through this, as you're trying to get people on board, what does it take to become part of your fund? How do people get involved?
So on one hand, obviously we're a lender out there. We are serving the real estate investor community, providing them hard money loans.
Right.
And one of the loans that we offer is the fix and flip loan. So that's where the borrower goes out and purchases a property, rehabs it, and either sells it or refinances it. But the other half of our business is what we call bridge loans. So these are loans in which, someone may be acquiring a property at the last minute. The bank decides that they don't want to fund the loan and they need to close. So they'll come to the private lending market to go and get that loan. And that's what we serve. These are short-term loans, 6 months to 24 months max. We're what we call an asset-based lender. What that simply means is that we're more concerned about the asset that we're lending against and using as collateral than really the borrower's financial condition. Doesn't mean that we're lending out to borrowers that have poor credit per se, but we're more, again, we're an asset-based lender. People expect us to close very quickly. And so that's the two market segments that we market to. Now, we have investors as well in our mortgage fund. So we have a mortgage fund called Talamar Income Fund 1, where accredited investors can invest in the fund, and then that fund uses that capital and lends it out on local real estate development projects.
Okay, all right, that's really interesting. So is that still the same asset-based product, or is that more? Are you looking at the investor a little bit more on that one?
Yeah, so it's the same intent, the same idea. Okay. When I first started Talamar Financial back in 2008, we were, again, as I had mentioned earlier, more of a trustee shop. So, we'd find the loan, we'd find the investor, marry the two together, and we would manage that. But we got to a point where there was too much loan volume coming through our door, and trying to match every single loan up with each individual investor became chaotic. We had over 55 million lent out in just San Diego.
That's incredible. Wow.
100 and some odd projects. And so it just was a very inefficient method of lending. And so that's when we decided, okay, we're going to consolidate, wrap up all our investors into a mortgage fund, and then lend that money out, a much more efficient model. And then for our borrowers, it got them more comfortable in coming to us, because they knew, number one, that we were a direct source of capital. Number two, we could move that much quicker to fund their loan.
Got it. All right. So folks looking for a loan, how does it work? Like do they give you a call, or how do they get started?
Man, it's funny. Things have changed so much. Again, back in the day, it was a call to Brock. Hey, tell me about the transaction. I would get in an Excel spreadsheet and send out a term sheet. Do a quick overview, do a site visit of the property, talk to the
super
borrower,
hands-on.
make sure you get some diligence material. Things are different now. So,
Okay.
so now it's all automated. You can go onto our website, you can submit your loan request. It'll get approved within 24 hours. We'll have a term sheet out to you in that period of time. We connect with escrow and title, and usually these transactions close in about 5 to 7 business days. But it's so automated now, and we've made it so easy to, number one, submit your loan request, number two, to get that approval, and then number three, to close on that loan.
Okay, so it just kind of moves right through. There's nothing to it. And I know there's a lot on the back end, but you've made it seamless for your customers.
Over the 15 years, we have seen thousands of loans. And so we've been able to identify ways of streamlining the process using analytics to say, okay, high probability that this loan will get approved. If so, high probability that we're going to close, and how quickly can we close? And I can only tell you that it's all been done because now we have a mortgage fund, and that allows us to be able to kind of put all the pieces together.
Sure. Wow. That's an incredible amount of work. I can't imagine how you got there, but we'll cover that more in the next segment a little bit.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you want folks to know? If you got a new borrower coming, or maybe somebody who wants to lend, what's the most important thing for them when they come to you?
So I would say, I do a lot of seminars and webinars on working with real estate investors on their first transaction. Number one, my recommendation is go out and network with as many people as you can if you're breaking into the business. The hardest thing you can do in real estate is get that first deal done. You don't have the credibility yet.
Yep.
You don't have the contacts yet. You might not even have the money yet. So you're trying to put all of this together while learning the business. So go out and network. I keep mentioning SDCIA, San Diego Creative Investor Association. It's a great association to be a part of. There's new investors, there's seasoned investors, and they all network at these monthly events. So my recommendation is, number one, is to network. Number two, talk to some of the successful people out there. You'll be able to meet them at the events. Talk to them about, hey, how did they get started? And what do they see in the marketplace right now? In fact, most of them will probably let you kind of cherry pick or be involved in maybe one of their deals to kind of see how that process works.
All right. Well, we can pick that up when we come back. We got to take a commercial break.
Yeah.
So thanks. That's really insightful. So folks listening, we'll be back in just after these messages on KCAA Radio.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about, so join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA.
Notes mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Real Men of Real Estate here on KCAA Radio. You can find us at 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. I'm here with Brock Vandenberg of Talmar Financial talking about hard money lending in the real estate business. We had just gone through kind of what to expect if you're new, maybe you want to lend, or you're a new borrower, how to get into this. Going out and networking, meet people in the industry, see what they do. Maybe try to meet someone and work alongside them. So Brock, take it from there. What do they really kind of do when you're trying to work with somebody? How can you engage, provide value back?
So, in real estate, I don't think we're ever reinventing the wheel. I think these new ideas and new concepts, come out, but if you look back, they're probably very similar to concepts that had been rolled out in the past. And so I go back and say, if you're just getting started, find that mentor, whoever it is. It's going to be somebody who is actively transacting in the business, and they're going to be more than happy to provide you insight on how they became successful, how they look at the market today, and how they're engaging in the market. But real estate is all about getting out there and building your network of people, and then explaining to that network of people what it is that you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. So, if it's you're out there trying to buy a single family house to flip it, go and tell everybody that what you're looking to do and how you're going to accomplish what you're doing. So
again, accountability there too. Then, if you tell your family and friends what's going on, you're going to be motivated to get it done.
No, absolutely. And your first deal is going to come from a place that you never ever thought about. It's going to be coming from somebody that you had just mentioned this idea to. They had remembered it. They came across an opportunity. They said, "Okay, hey Dan, I remember you talking to me about a month ago that you were looking to do this. I think I found an opportunity for you." That is how it's going to come around, but it takes persistence. And I tell people, if you get started, you're probably not going to see your first transaction for at least the first 6 months. That first 6 months is just about learning the business. It's about building your contacts. Get rich quick scheme. It doesn't happen fast. It happens over a long period of time, and you've got to just keep going at it. That would be my recommendation.
All right. No, that's really helpful advice. I hope folks take that to heart.
And you know what? And I'll even say, Dan, there's so much information now available on the web. Yeah. I mean, you can go on YouTube, you can go on all of these sites, and just for free information, listen to some of the most successful people in real estate do what they do.
Right. No need to go out and spend $50,000 on a weekend camp, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of the opposite end of that story then. How did you grow Talmar Financial up? How did you go through that process?
Yeah, good question. So obviously, I started in a corporate world, and I really had an opportunity to engage with some very successful real estate investors, people that were developing large residential, single family and multifamily development projects. So I got to see kind of the end game of what people were doing at a large level. But I also got to see where the mistakes were made as we went into 2008. And I saw people over leveraged, buying too much, very little, focus on cash flow, all equity appreciation, no cash flow. So I got to see that real time. After I transitioned out of that business or that company, I was built and I went to my first networking event. I just simply spent the next 10 years building that business, just talking to as many investors as possible, both borrowers that would come to us to borrow money, and then also to investors that would invest in the loans that we originated. But it took a long time to build the business, and I was consistent in my approach. I was going to all the local networking events. So usually there were 3 or 4 per month. And then talking to as many investors that were looking for cash flow to invest in trust deeds as possible, constantly following up with calls to them. What are they investing in? How much money do they have invest? What are they looking for? And then identifying those kinds of loans for those borrowers. And I look back when I first started the business, I was so happy with myself when I had $1 million under management of people's capital. And then within about 5 years from that, we went above about 10 million, and then it just exploded from there. We got to about
got momentum and off it went.
Yeah, we got to about 55 million, a little over 55 million in capital under management. And then that's when we decided to bring in investors into an individual, from individual trustees into the mortgage fund. But it was persistence. I mean, it didn't happen overnight. I talk about, it takes time and it takes persistence. And that's that. And you got to be consistent in your approach. I wasn't doing anything different than the guy next to me. It was just, I was just more consistent. And then I just think I probably just worked harder than the person next to me.
Just absolutely tenacious.
Yeah. My recommendation, moving, today is when you're looking at real estate and you're looking at a deal, number one is understanding your exit strategy. Where is how are you going to get out of this transaction if you're buying it, sell it, or you're looking for long-term cash flow to rent it, understanding that exit strategy. And then number two, building a portfolio of rental properties. That is the best way of building wealth over the long term.
As you're going out and trying to build this up, when you're going to the network events, SDCIA, other meetups around town, there's all kinds of different people there. Are you finding mostly borrowers, mostly lenders? Maybe it's a good mix. Who makes up these events? How did you get to know them?
Yeah, I would say that most of the people that I'm talking to at the events are going to be future borrowers. So these are people that are going to either they're currently buying real estate and they're going to need private financing from a company like myself, or they're getting involved in real estate. Those are some of my best borrowers, and I kind of lead them down the path of how to become successful, connecting them with the right people, and making sure and working with them to find that first deal. I'm thinking of a couple of my borrowers right now that have probably some of my bigger borrowers now that I first got involved with on their first transaction. In fact, one of the biggest real estate or groups that buy houses in San Diego today originally used us for their financing. Now they got so big that they were able to obtain institutional financing at this point, but they just started with one loan from Talamar Financial and were able to build a huge conglomerate.
That's incredible. All right, I think I know who that is. Pretty cool. Yep. Right on. So then where are you finding the lenders? Your borrowers are mostly at the meetups, the investor meetings and things like that. It seems like maybe you've got a whole different process. So how does that work?
Most of my investors have a background of investing in trustees. Okay, so they've gone out there and they are working through mortgage brokers to fund private loans. And so we've got ways of, number one, identifying those investors, looking at county records and whatnot, and then engaging them through various marketing platforms. And, we've gotten to a point though now that Talamar Financial is just known as one of the larger trustee providers and mortgage funds in California. Wow. So if you're investing in trustees or if you're investing in a private mortgage fund like Talamar Financial, you're going to know who we are. And, if it's going to be a good fit or not, I'm going to talk to you, the investor, tell you a little about what we do, and hopefully it's a good fit and that you do engage with us.
So there's an onboarding process, basically. Make sure someone's familiar, make sure they're qualified, make sure that it's a good fit.
Yeah. Okay. Like any investment, you want to make sure they understand what they're investing in. Again, it's not super complicated. We're lending money out to real estate investors who can't get conventional financing because of either the type of real estate that they're buying, the short-term nature of the loan requests that they have. It could be various reasons they come to us. But you want to make sure that the investor that's investing in these loans is comfortable with what the investment is.
Got it. And especially if there has to be a recovery or something like that, how does it work? And okay. Wow. Well, that's pretty fascinating then. So what are some of the challenges you've seen doing this? Maybe some of the particular obstacles you've had to overcome?
There's an obstacle all the time. When I first started the business in 2008, between 2008 and 2012, the market was very volatile. We were in the middle of a financial crisis. Real estate prices had dropped out in some markets by over 50%. And we were hyper-focused here in San Diego. So you saw, not as big of an impact. I mean, so we saw an impact, but not as big of an impact as maybe you saw in some of the other markets.
Okay.
So, you're trying to get people comfortable of saying, hey, this is the best time to actually invest in real estate when there is volatility, and then when you get about past 2012, you have some of the big institutional investors, Blackstone, Goldman Sachs, and some of the other big private equity funds were getting into this industry because the returns were so good. So now we're competing against some very deep pockets. And you really saw that the industry became very competitive up until about the time of COVID. That's when a lot of these institutional capital providers started to kind of pull back. And then just recently, as in early 2022, with rates jumping, there was the only one left doing this lending are private mortgage funds like Palomar Financial. Again, the big institutional capital providers have essentially folded shop. They don't have access to that super cheap capital that made them so profitable. And so it really isn't something they're all that interested in being involved with. So now the market is much bigger for a company like us. And I think that's probably why we've seen such an influx of capital coming into our mortgage fund, because the returns that we can offer are so much better than they were just 12 months ago.
I see. Wow. So I didn't expect that to be such a massive impact on hard money, to be honest. It makes perfect sense now that you say it to me out loud.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, when you see rates go up, you think, okay, real estate values go down, which, it would make sense. Again, we're in, being that we're focused in San Diego, I don't think we're seeing as big of an impact on values as what people had perceived. But with rates going up, that means the rates that we're charging our clients need to go up, which results in a higher return to the investor in the mortgage fund.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we're going to have to take a commercial break here again in about 20 seconds. So that's fascinating. And I'm really interested to see where it goes next. We'll talk a little bit about where the market's going to go, kind of what things look like when we come back. So folks listening this afternoon, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. We'll be back after these messages on the Real Men of Real Estate at KCAA Radio.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Hello, welcome to Fire Up Connect. Are you a small business owner? Do you lack the resources to manage your business? Is visibility and brand awareness a top priority for you? Fire Up Connect is a community of small business owners. We help our members find the right connections and the right resources to help them be successful. This isn't your typical business networking group. Members of Fire Up Connect are innovative, driven, and all about building long-lasting relationships. We work to identify your goals and understand what it is you do and how we can help you brand yourself and your business. Fire Up Connect is about creating business opportunities, community projects, educational sessions, and live seminars to help implement effective marketing programs for our members. Fire Up Connect helps members gain validation in their businesses, learn what challenges similar business leaders are facing, and access to subject matter experts on how to overcome these challenges. Fire Up Connect offers opportunities for organic exposure through our many marketing events, programs, and projects. There are 4 colors that make up Fire Up Connect. Yellow represents the back office and services available to Fire Up Connect members. Red represents Fire Up Connect's marketing and advertising resources, such as TV shows, radio, magazine book publication, and movie projects. Green represents Fire Up Connect's referral system, tracking incentives. And blue represents Fire Up Connect's donation, fundraising, and scholarship programs. Fire Up Connect members have access to monthly business sessions, price discounts on affiliated companies, and all Fire Up Connect programs, book publications, published articles for your business, access to Fire Up Connect scheduled webinar events, a photo shoot session, and a video production. Join us for our annual Fire Up Live seminars and gain valuable connections in the Fire Up community and boost your business. We believe in your business. We believe in what you do. At Fire Up Connect, we believe in you. Join us for our annual Fire Up Live seminars to gain, discover, and get fired up.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real Men of Real Estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA. Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Real Men of Real Estate here on KCAA Radio. My name is Dan Reddick. I'm here with Brock Vandenberg, president of Talamar Financial. We've been talking about how to get into real estate investing and working with a hard money lender, or maybe investing in their funds. It's a great way to go, especially if you don't want to be the man on the street finding all the deals. So I know a lot of people are nervous at this point. You know, the market's changing. The media is kind of putting out this message of what's going on. What are we going to do, right? What's happening? So what are you seeing from your end?
Well, we're lending primarily in Southern California. And in fact, we're pretty hyper-focused here in San Diego.
Okay.
And so we're not seeing a massive market crash that I think the media had portrayed a couple months ago with the rising interest rates. In fact, we still have historic lows in terms of homes that are listed on the market.
It's very thin.
Yes, yeah. Values have come back, but we're talking about values have come back from the peak of which had increased by over 30% in less than 12 months.
Right.
And so I think it was anticipated that not only was the market going to slow down, which it had to, or it would overheat, but I think we all expected prices to drop. But what I also think is happening is, you know, people are seeing that homeowners are seeing that the market is slowing. Owners of investment properties see that the market is slowing, and so they're not listing their properties. And so that is what's keeping keeping the number of homes listed at such a low level.
Right, we're getting thinner and thinner. Right.
Yeah, and also it's so, you know, people try to make a comparison to what happened in 2008 to what is happening today. Completely different reason why the market is slowing. Back in 2008, many homeowners were over leveraged. The banking industry started to collapse. That affected businesses. Businesses started to lay people off. People couldn't afford the over leveraged homes that they had. And then once that, you know, they couldn't make their payments on that over leveraged home, the value generally of real estate began to drop below what the loan amount was. And so what was the reasoning for them to continue to make those payments? Right? Very different than today. Today, people have a lot of equity in their real estate that they own. Banks did not go out and just give a loan to everybody. And so they did a much better job of underwriting this time around. And so people have an incentive to continue to make those payments, and they're not going to sell a home either at a loss right now, or if they're not going to get peak value, and what they think of peak value is what it was earlier this year, get peak value. So they're just going to sit on the house. From a buyer perspective, people don't realize late 2021 and early 2022, there was so much demand for housing that people were getting hundreds of offers. Offers were being accepted at 10, 20, 30% above what the list price was. So you had a lot of buyers that were just sitting on the sidelines. They weren't even trying to buy. They just why even go in and submit an offer? would be wasting my time. You would have to submit an offer sight unseen. But there were so many buyers that were sitting on the sidelines looking for a home. Still the case today. in the sense that these buyers are now coming off the sidelines because they see that they have an opportunity to actually negotiate a price. Right. So when I say when I'm looking at San Diego, this really is more focused on what I'm seeing on in San Diego. Now, I think there are markets, especially in the Midwest. You have some markets in the Southwest, Texas, definitely in the Southeast and Florida, that had a large number of investor buyers. You had institutional buyers and you had more onesie twosie buyers. That market really has dried up. People aren't buying as much investment properties as they were just a couple months ago. So you're starting to see values in those markets really come back.
Okay, wow. So it's really diverse. It's truly a city by city market at this point.
Dan, yeah, the dynamics of San Diego and most core California markets are so different than what you would have in the Midwest. If you look here in San Diego, there's such a lack of supply of housing, right? I mean, they're passing these ADU laws to hopefully boost the amount of housing in San Diego, but they just are not going to meet the demand that currently is there. So you have this kind of floor that's sitting there that, look, people need housing in San Diego. They're going to have to pay a price for housing, but that might be different than, in comparison to a market in the Midwest where you may have too much housing for the current population, right? And so people have a choice of where they can go and it can get better pricing for if they're renting.
Right.
So very, very different market.
So upshot is the great California exodus isn't really much of an exodus. People are still here or coming here, and even if some people are leaving, pressure is on.
Yeah, obviously in California, we hear in the media there's a big exodus out of California, and I think there is, there is some truth to that, but it still isn't compensating for the amount of demand and the lack of supply of housing that's here. Now, what you're also seeing too is a lot of these companies are now demanding that their employees come back into the office. So if you left California and your employer's in California, you may need to come back to Cal, or you're going to be finding a new employer of where you are.
Yeah. Oh, that's too exciting.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're not really worried about the market, at least not the market that we're in. Not at all.
No, again, if you look, historically over the last 50 years in the markets that we're lending in, again, your San Diego, LA, Orange County, the Bay Area, you look at Seattle, these markets, there's always going to be a demand for housing. There's always something happening where there could be some concern that, the market may fall out. And it never really has happened because the demand still is there. Mm-hmm. Now, it may be different demand, sure, but the demand is there.
Yeah. I know there's so many more tech jobs still coming, even to San Diego specifically, right? If you're in San Francisco, you look at San Diego and you think it's cheap. And I think we're going to see a lot of those companies coming down here.
Dan, you made up a good point. I mean, 2022, you looked at some of the significant increases in values here were a result of people from the Bay Area thinking San Diego was a deal, which baffles me. But I mean, that's crazy, that they think San Diego's a deal. But yes, that you're right. Now, San Diego also has a diverse economic basis. Yes, I mean, I'm here in North San Diego. Apple just bought another campus right up the street from our office.
Oh, wow.
And so you do have a big influx of tech jobs coming in. But my wife is involved in the medical device industry, and you have a huge medical device industry. You have a big biotech industry. You have some of the best universities here in San Diego. So no, I think that the underlying foundation of what you have in San Diego is going to buffer us from any massive catastrophe. And forget about you forget about the military. I don't mean over over you, but you forget even the military. I mean, it's funny, you look at the 80s and you were to talk to my parents about how big the military, both in the military and then the industries that fed into the military were huge. And in the late 80s, you saw military spending decrease, and you saw San Diego was affected by that decrease in military spending. But it was it was very quickly backfilled with the medical industry.
Right, yeah, biotech and medical really came in, and now we're seeing tech outright.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, okay. It's going to be a thing. So interest rates are going to influence the purchase price for the moment, but the payments aren't changing and people are still coming here.
Yeah, and it's interesting, if you looked at the last, the Fed raised the rates another 0.5 point last week. but you saw mortgage rates didn't really go down. They actually went down.
Yeah.
And so, that was already baked in to where rates were. And so I think there's some stability happening in the market. Yes, we still see in the media, a lot of stories about layoffs. Realize that a lot of these industries that are laying people off, end of year cycling already, were going to happen. And then right now, my belief is that a lot of Wall Street is putting pressure on CEOs to start to cut costs, and if this CEO is doing it over there, well, this CEO has to do it as well, because they have to demonstrate, hey, look, we're also cutting costs. And so, no, I don't think it's going to result in some big catastrophe for real estate, specifically in the Southern California region.
I mean, I've heard about that. Some of my friends working at startups are losing their buying power and whatnot. So I'm a little surprised at, with where things are going, how it feels for us actually on the ground that they're doing that. Even Google and Facebook, I know, have had hiring freezes and done significant spending cuts. Very surprising. So, but you're not feeling that, basically.
No. I mean, we don't see it. We look at our, one of the things we do, obviously for our real estate, our investors in our mortgage fund, is every month we do a review of where the fund is. We talk about, dynamics of, if we see any uptick in defaults, and, we're at 0 defaults right now. We have no late payments in the fund. And so, we're just analytically not seeing it. I mean, I see it in the media, but analytically, we're not seeing it.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm hearing the same thing from the property managers I know that are operating at scale, that the market is actually stable. People are not defaulting or moving, missing payments. So
well, and that's one of the things. We were talking earlier about buying cash flowing properties, right? And not building a business simply on buying and selling real estate, because if you're just buying and selling real estate and making the profit, which obviously is a great way of making profit, but when the market slows, you're that way of making money dries up. Those that succeed long term have consistent monthly cash flow coming in, and where's that coming from? Most likely rental properties. So if you look at 2008, if you looked at rents continue to climb during that period of time.
Especially here, I was looking into Memphis at that time. And so there was a average of $50 a month decrease in rent in Memphis through the entire 2008 crisis. That's it, $50 a month.
Wow. Yeah.
And
so
Memphis is a huge rental market. More than 50% of the properties are rentals, as I understand it. Or they were anyways, but we can talk more about that when we come back. We're going to have to take another commercial break. So thanks for being here with me on the show. This is great. I love the information. Folks, we'll be back after these messages here on KCAA Radio. Thanks for listening.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about, so join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real Men of Real Estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA.
Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Welcome back to the Real Men of Real Estate here on KCAA Radio. We're at 106.5 FM or 1050 AM on your dial. I've been talking with Brock Vandenberg about the state of hard money, today's market, and how to get into it. So we were kind of on the last out, we were talking about just cash flow is king. You know, if you're fix and flip, you're going to kind of at the mercy of the market. You're always going to be in the churn. Mm-hmm. So how can you help people do that? How do people achieve cash flow?
Yeah, good question. So, we offer two types of lending programs. The first, again, is kind of focused on what you call your fix and flip or fix and hold transactions. And the normal deal structure there is we'll finance 80% of the purchase price and 100% of the renovation costs. So the borrower puts 20% down, and then he goes and completes the project, finishes the renovation, and we're providing the capital that he needs for that renovation. Okay. So there's two exit strategies, and we talked about understanding, right, what is your exit strategy on a transaction? So for a long time, the exit strategy was the sale of the property. You had a lot of equity appreciation in the market, and so people could make a lot of money selling the property. The downside to doing that is, you got to go find your next project every time.
Right, you're always in the churn, marketing, finance.
Once you sell, then you're buying right into a market that's higher priced, and hopefully that equity appreciation is always there because you're basing your profit on that equity appreciation. But what I always advise clients to do is take some of that money and look to buy income producing properties. Now, I know for many it's harder here in San Diego, where properties in terms of a percentage of the purchase price don't produce as much income as compared to maybe if you buy in the Midwest or Southwest or Southeast, where home values are are lower and you can make a better income again as a percentage of the purchase price of the property. But I always advise clients that yes, that is the case. But if you look at the historic rent increases in markets like San Diego, you essentially are buying into the future. Okay. If you look at where rents were 10 years ago in San Diego, and you had bought a house 10 years ago, look how much better off you would have been in terms of rental increases in your property here in San Diego versus some of the other maybe Midwest markets. So that is, and I say that because when markets become volatile, so you have values that are going up and down, and your initial or your primary strategy of buying and selling real estate isn't working at that moment, you can always fall back on this rental income that you're earning from your rental properties. Okay. And
so rental appreciation is basically a thing, as not just properties fundamental appreciation, but rental appreciation.
Absolutely. And, at some point you're going to slow down. You're not going to be able to churn and burn real estate for the rest of your life. You need to build up that portfolio of cash flow. And when you buy a rental property, there's so many advantages of owning the property. You get depreciation, okay, is the number one thing. You get that cash flow. Number two, you can leverage the property. So we talk about, when you sell a property, you're going to pay taxes on the income of the profit that you made from the sale of that property. But you know what the government doesn't tax? Loans. Okay. So when you borrow against that property and pull cash out, so let's say it's appreciated, you refinance that and pull cash out, that's non-taxed money. Right?
Perfect. Yeah.
So you can go out and buy more real estate with that. Right. So you go from one property
loan on it and go
to two properties, 2 to 4. And before you know it, you've got more equity built up and cash flow coming in than you have opportunities to buy. So I have people that have made that transition from buying and selling real estate consistently to just buying and holding real estate, where they would never sell real estate. Because the only reason you want to ever sell real estate at the end of the day is because you have a better opportunity for that money. So
Right.
if you're selling that house, it's because you have an opportunity lined up that's going to pay you better. And that is probably the only reason why you should be selling real estate.
No, that makes good sense.
So yeah, and I look at my personal view on this as, and I would, luckily someone told me this when I was young. So I bought my first condo in in about 2001. I was, I'm going to age myself here, probably was about 22, 23 years of age. And I bought my first condo, and I'll tell you what, I bought it for $250,000. It was in Fremont, in California, and I could barely make the payments unless I rented out the other unit. So it was 2-bedroom. I rented out the other unit, and I was fine.
So
and then I just
Kool-Aid.
Saved it, leveraged that, bought my next house, held on to that, bought my next house, and now I'm on my 4th house, and I still own all the other 3 properties that I had purchased.
That's
all because of cash flow and the ability to leverage.
Wow. All right. So that's the power of real estate.
Yep.
All right. So we're coming to the end here. How do people get a hold of you?
So yeah, good questions. Obviously, I run Talamar Financial. We are a direct lender here in California. We fund most urban markets. Best way to connect with me, you can call my office. That phone number is 858-424-4900. Again, 858-242-4900.
All right.
Or go ahead and reach out to us through our website, and that's Talamar Financial. Remember, Talamar is with a T as in Tom, so talamarfinancial.com. Reach out to us. We post all of our loan programs right there. You can submit your loan request through our website. If you're interested in investing in our mortgage fund, you can also give me a call at that same number, or go to our website and look at the executive summary.
All right, that's pretty great. So if folks want to learn more, I also want to invite you to come and check out our real estate club. Brock is on the board with me there. It's SDCIA. You can find us there at sdcia.com.
Yep.
We have regular monthly meetings the second Tuesday every single month with tons of amazing networking. We provide dinner along with that, so you come straight from work and not waste any time. And we always have a speaker talking about how to do things here in San Diego. They're doing it alongside with us. So I think there's a lot of value there. I know, Brock, that's how you got into this.
And it's great. If you are new to the industry and you're just trying to connect with people, absolutely come on down. If you're very experienced, seasoned, we have a ton of people that have opportunities available to you. And you know what? We are always looking for sponsors. So we've got a great crew of sponsors of SDCIA. But if you're interested in getting your name out there, your business out there in front of real estate investors at one of the biggest clubs here in San Diego, give Dan a call. He'd love to chat with you about becoming a sponsor.
All right. Thanks, Brock. It's great. I'm happy you're here. Thanks so much for your time and your help with SDCIA. It's fantastic.
Hey, Dan, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, great times. So thanks for listening today, folks, to the Real Men of Real Estate. My name is Dan Reddig. We've been talking with Brock Vandenberg for the past 45 minutes, and we'll see you next month. Have a great weekend.
You can listen to KCAA Radio anytime on your smartphone device. Call 720-835-3099. 720-835-3099.